Saturday. I shouldn't be here, but as time is short, I say, you know what, I'm gonna spend a weekend and keep going forward with this build. Also, because I was debating, I said I'm gonna leave the engine outside for now. I prefer to build the turbo system, the whereas the exhaust manifold on the engine here, and I can use my VR5 turbo one to gauge where there is a space and there isn't, etc, etc. But I was just being a moron, because I have another VR6 3.2 2.8 is exactly the same structure. They change internal a little, but externally it's exactly the same, it's identical. As a matter of fact, these exhaust manifolds, those twins, came from there. So this right now goes inside the car. I'm gonna put it in, and I'm gonna gauge where the turbo is supposed to be, remove everything, obviously these, put them on here, put this on the stand somewhere, and build it on the bench. So simple. Sometimes I'm so much of a moron. Alright, nice. I like this sump. This sump is shallower than the 2.8 one. Yeah, you can notice that. If you see from here, if you follow the line from the chassis legs, the sump is about roughly by an eye, so it could be, obviously it's not accurate, but about an inch higher. So if you do the flat floor, nothing is gonna scratch, nothing is gonna be in the contact with the sump. So 3.2 sump is the one to go when you're doing VR swaps. Plus, I think is the most common anyway. All right, let's go ahead. We're gonna lower everything. We're gonna get a wiring loom, obviously in the right direction. We're gonna connect the gear, the shifter cables. You're gonna route those lines, maybe make a mount for the cooler. I don't know, loads of stuff to do. All right, so as said, I'm not gonna remove the thermostat and all those pipings, because it's just been, you know, done, and everything should be fine. I'm not gonna remove stuff that I have no reason to remove. However, this pipe is slightly different. You see the angle of this pipe, this bottom one, is different than the 2.8 one of VR5. This one goes straight down, and this one goes on an angle. I need that one because I already made a boost. Did I say boost pipes? Sorry, coolant pipes. Because I already made the coolant pipes too much this, not this. So I'm just gonna swap them around. And then I noticed something. Let me get the light into this, because you will not believe. Jesus Christ. Do you remember what I said about not using too much sealant? Yeah, I guess that. What the fuck? I mean, why would you even do it? There's no sealant needed there. There is an O-ring. What you do, you put grease on the O-ring, so you preserve the life of the rubber. That's it. That's how it's sealed. Jesus Christ. Yeah, good job I took this off, and then, you know, not for the reason I wanted, for the reason I had to, but it's a good job anyway, because, yeah, guess what? That is a problem. God. And I can't believe that people, you know, create their own problems. Oh, I thought that was just my wife. Anyways, let me swap them around. So fitting back the thermostat, that's the line. If that was facing up, it was facing actually this one here. So yeah, VR6, if it's 3.2, the 3.2 and 2.8 thermostat housing is needed. Not the whole thing, it could be just the bottom. The bottom is just on boards with the 3 bolts, but it doesn't matter, all the lines were made for the 3.2, so, you know, swapped it all around. Anyways, everything is kind of close, but nothing is touching, you see, as the oil lines safely away from the coolant lines. The sensor is away from the moving parts, the shifting cables, they're free to move, etc, etc. And now there is the last bit is this one here, which I want to do it better. This one goes kind of like this, so that one goes there, this one goes here. This one I eventually, because we're increasingly, Jesus, can't even speak normally these days. we have increased all this VR stuff, and it wasn't so much so far. But now, as we have them, I think it would be good to do silicone pipes for the cooling system. No, for the 1.8 we have the whole cooling system. We don't have it for VR, so I think and I have to develop one, because it will be just easy. Even this will be much smaller, because obviously you have to have the joiners. If you don't have to have the joiners and everything is silicone, you can literally make it nice and quick from here all around, and it goes into this. Otherwise you have to make it in metal and then joiners, which takes more space. I think we're gonna do something about that soon, after we moved obviously. But then stuff like this, like the wiring loom is zip tied to the engine, to the plastic parts, or to the metal where the starter motor is, for example. Like anything on the engine is zip tied to the engine, so it doesn't move. And make sure that the moving part is not touching anything, so it doesn't rip through, it doesn't cut through. And again, this is crucial, because this area is actually between the engine and the chassis itself, so it's very crucial and quite tight here. For example, I'm not having the Jubilee clip on the coolant line, coolant hose, because that will have to come off still. And because I'm pretty sure I will have to make the line for the oil feed for the turbo longer. I'm either gonna make it longer there, or change the whole line. If I have to change the whole line, you have to reach inside the, no, you can see it on the oil housing. So yeah, maybe from the bottom I can reach it, but if I remove this pipe, I can reach it easily, safe. Shifting is good. I was kind of, it's like, okay, I want to see how the shifting is going to work, because I made it shorter from here to here. And as a matter of fact, fourth and last, so the knob's supposed to be here. It's much longer, so I was worried that it's going to be too long, but by removing some of the movement there, I removed a lot of movement. And this is neutral, forward gear, rearward gear. But the left and the right is long enough, because we want actually that longer than standard, and shorter forth and back. So with this increased length, on the top here you have more leverage, so it's more precise to select the gears, but forth and back is nice and precise. We see. Obviously, we still have rubber. If you can see, let me check if you can see. You see that? I don't know. Let me just get some light on it. So, for example, that rubber there, you see how much movement I'm losing. You see? That's a lot. If we replace that rubber from there and we put the bearing, everything is going to be much more precise. And it's just, you know. So we're going to lose about that is going to be removed. That play is going to be much more precise. All the small details, but they actually make quite a big difference, you know. A little bit here, a little bit there, and you have a good result. Left and right is precise, but again, we're going to replace it with the ball bearing. Actually, I'm probably going to do it now before I forget. And that's it. Good gearboxes, good shifting mechanism. I like it. You know, they quite robust, quite precise. Just make the stuff around it quite precise as well. And again, with the engine mounts, we have this the shifter adapter is including the engine mount is part of it. And everything actually works good if you have a patience to set it up right. If you don't set it up right, it's not gonna work like any other gearbox. So there you go. I'm gonna fit this one and we go out forward. I'm gonna put the throttle body back on, and probably electrics. I'm gonna put the ECUs in place. I'm gonna put the traction control, the control unit somewhere here. I'm gonna find the space for it, and then yeah, just small things. And then I think I'm gonna concentrate on the fuel system. More parts. Jesus, it's like the more forward we go with this, the more parts I have to, you know, dig out and see, and there's loads of these bits. The fuel system, you have two AEM fuel pumps, genuine, good stuff. Then we have another one as a pickup. This is very potent. These days they make them quite small, but they are very efficient. This needs to go in a tank, so the whole fuel pump assembly has to come out from the fuel tank. This we have to be fitted there. Housing needs to be slightly modified, you know, etc, etc. I can't remember what this is for. This wasn't for the pump, this was for something else. I can't. Oh, this is for the coolant, for the water pump for the charge cooler radiator. So that's here. The charge cooler reservoir. This is good to have it on the top of the charge cooler just to make sure everything is bled nicely. And then we have this fuel cell. I kind of like them because, you know, everything is kind of inside, so you cool the fuel pumps with the fuel. You just have to make sure the fuel inside circulates between this and the fuel tank, not just as much as you consume it. So yeah, all of this needs to be fitted. I have to find a space where to position everything. Then we need to get adapters, because obviously this is all -8. This is not overkill. However, it's good to have it because if one pump fails, the other one still is, you know, active. So it's just precaution. Also, because we have the fuel pressure sensor, the ECU can monitor that. If that pressure is dropping off, or even the engine oil pressure is dropping off, ECU will retard or put the engine in a limp mode, or retard the ignition, or whatever, put everything at safety. So yeah, it's good to have it. Yeah, I have to put it on mine as well. I still didn't. So yeah, and then this is another thing. When I was explaining about everything being kind of tight inside the engine, between the engine and the book, especially on the VR6 engine. 1.8 they have more space. VRs are quite close. Again, it's a bigger engine, and you know, the gearbox and everything. So we had to squeeze everything, that we got plenty of space, and also put the engine as forward as possible for the weight distribution. Because yes, you're right, this, you know, it's heavier than 1ZZ, so we're trying to recover some downside with distributing this weight better. But we were talking about this topic many times, and I think we've done really good job. It's, you know, as much forward as is physical possible. If any more forward, there will be no space safely there. For now, it's tight, but you can manage to put everything, and nothing is actually in contact between each other. All right, fuel system. All right, let's do it. Yeah, sorry, before the fuel system, I'm explaining this. So because everything is so tight, and the original engine mounts are very soft, because again, you know, you're running with 120, 140 brake horsepower engine, and this is now 3-4 times the power. This is gonna be 500-600 brakes at least. You know, then after, I mean, VR6s, they're known for making 1,000 brake horsepower fairly easily. So, you know, almost 10 times the power, 10 times the torque. So the engine mounts obviously have to be upgraded, because it will just move, it will just rotate on the acceleration and deceleration. Acceleration obviously more. So the front of the engine, it will go up, the back of the engine will go down, it will try to rotate on itself. So that's why you put much harder engine mounts on the rubber side, just the bottom ones, not the top ones, just the bottom ones. So the rear one, bottom, and the front bottom one, that's all. Now for this, you can do the full poly bushing stuff, or you know, you can do the inserts. This is what we have. Come on, get out. This is an insert. They work decent. It's not expensive. It's a fairly budget solution. This goes inside the original rubber. It fills the empty spaces, and is harder than this on the side. And this one here, I'm expecting to be the front one. No, this is the rear one. Sorry, that's the front one. Let's open it up. And the rear one looks pretty much the same. It's just slightly offsetted. You see the hole is not in the middle, slightly offsetted as the original, and it's slightly bigger in diameter and shape. That's the front. That's the back, is it? Yeah, this is the rear. I'm using exactly the same. Yeah, they work good. If you want any better, then you get the full, you know, the whole bushes. But you have to, you know, smash the old ones out and get the new ones in. This is quite acceptable. And this, what this does, it eliminates all that, well, not all that movement, but kind of removes about half of it. Again, with, you know, 600-700 brakes, there's still a movement, so you have to make sure nothing rubs on the chassis, on the engine, anything sharp, electrics or pipes or anything like this, anything really. But obviously those mounts, they give you a hand massively. So this is how it works. You got two pumps. They are bloody powerful. I mean, I'm telling you that not only they're reliable, but look at this. This is, it flows 400 liters per hour at 40 psi or 300 liters per hour at 120 psi. I mean, I'm not going to use 120 psi. That tells you a lot, does it? Yeah, they're powerful, and two of them. So, yeah, you need slightly bigger fuel lines than 8 mil, but again, we just going to run much lower pressure, not going to need that. Anyways, to push them in, they are hard. I mean, it is machine precise. You can't, it's, actually, let me show you, if I can somehow. You have to use WD-40 because if not, it won't go in. I don't know if you see it, but so you have to wiggle around inside the O-ring. One goes in, you have to get some WD-40 because the friction between the pump and the O-ring itself is too big. This thing seals. There's no leakage from there, that's for sure. Oh, Jesus. Come on. It's good stuff, I like it. I think I'm gonna get myself one of these. Because I'm still running just upgraded in-type fuel pump, which should be okay to some point, but again, you know, fuel system is kind of a safety because, you know, you're losing fuel pressure. You're gonna make your engine run even for a second or two very lean, and lean when the timings are aggressive, you know, it could be devastating for the engine detonation. So holes in the piston, top of the rings and all the stuff. So yeah, you blow your engine if you go lean. Too lean. So it is quite important. So this actually is not just to make power, this is for safety of the engine. Jesus Christ. Yeah, strong. It's good, it's good. I'm not complaining. But the amount of hours that goes into building a race car is incredible. I mean, imagine if we didn't have a kit to build this as a you know, VR6. This was already converted to VR6. We just replaced the engine and upgrading the stuff. Upgrading the stuff means building it from scratch, most of the stuff. And Chris obviously he went nuts. He's like, I want this, I want that, I want that. He's like, yeah, it's good, it's good. But every little thing is like, oh, this is engine mods, it's not going to take long, this is not going to take long. But all together, plus now changing the engine, plus now the race issue, which the whole wiring room, well, not the whole wiring room, but majority, at least half of it will have to be redesigned and rebuilt. All of that adds, and the hours you spend building this stuff, it's incredible. Jesus, come on. We're almost there. Oh, there you go. Snaps in. Almost, not yet. Rotated. I want to have the positives on this side here because they, you know, inside. Whatever outside is more prompt to maybe touching something. So having positives inside is a bit more safe. And though we have this kind of these grommets, and once you put your wires, you got these grommets too. But again, something can chew through the grommets. So whatever you do, you know, it's always trying to keep everything in mind. You know, common sense really. Same for this, it will be difficult to fit it if you don't put grease, and then obviously WD-40 on the O-ring will not be able to push it. Let me just tune it a bit more if I can. This is quite hard actually. Come on. spin, turn, almost. You know, it doesn't take much to think of what you're doing. I've seen a lot of people that's simply not using their brains when they're building stuff. It's almost, but we want it precise. You know what, let me grab a 17. If I remember, I think it was a 17, yeah, 17. As you can see, audio books, not at the moment, but beautiful. Everything nice in line. Bit of a OCD there. I couldn't leave it sideways. And I'm going to 40. We're good to go. Then obviously we have these ones. This is dash. I think this is dash 6 or 8. I think it's 6. And again, we are either gonna replace these completely or just put the adapters. Maybe adapters will look better. These are already here, so maybe use them for the push-on fittings for the 8mm fuel lines. And then you have this on the top here that secures the pumps. Are you fucking shitting me? You kidding me? No. No, actually it should go on the top. It's just, this is so precise, and because these are kind of pushed in, that it almost goes on the top, but doesn't quite. So I'm gonna move this tiny bit inside so this can be fitted. You say, oh, you should fit it from the bottom, but no, you can't, because it has that lip there. That's the whole point. This pushes on the lip, which is now obviously went under the surface, and keep this everything smooth, so it has to go on the top there. You just have to move this. You see, this is what Steve says the other day. You know, you think you're just buying the stuff and you're just gonna fit everything and everything's gonna fit. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. Sometimes you have to make adjustments. You know, so sometimes I'm paranoid about everything that we build and say it's like, oh, it has to be perfect. Sometimes I'm worried too much, you know, because you got this, it's perfectly fine, perfectly good, and yet you have to modify it tiny bit, but it just doesn't fit, you know. And then sometimes customers says, oh, why it took so long? Well, it's not just putting 2 pumps in and 3 screws and off you go. Yeah, it is what it is. Anyways, yeah, we go forward. All right, in a bit. Maybe one way that I would prefer having the VR6 or VR5 over the 1.9 if we go in bigger power, solely for the reason that a bigger engine, well, VR6 or VR5, it will produce more power than 1.8 with a bit more ease. Now 1.8, we know they're very durable, they're very capable, they can make over 1000 brake horsepower as well, but you're pushing stuff. You're most likely to use in different fuels, like I said, mentioned before, a race fuel, but then you have to add all the gizmos to make it safely and do it properly. Yes, you can do it different ways. You can remove the oil fuel, you can put the race fuel, you can add nitrous. This is what Steve does, but I prefer simplicity. And if I know I want more than, let's say, 500-600 brakes, hence I got a VR5. That's one of the reasons, you know, just making the power simple. VR6, these, Jesus, they make 1000 brakes, you know, fairly easily. But let's say, for example, 600-700 brakes on a VR6, very simple. This is already an overkill for the fuel. But again, this is a truck car, so that fuel system is not because of the horsepower we're making out of this engine, but because of the cornering and the safety of the fuel system. You know, if you do everything right, there you go. I mean, you've seen the clogged with silicone sealant, the thermostat. I mean, that's disgusting, that's bad, that's asking for troubles. So that you have the two extremes of doing the job. One, which is awful, and one, which you're just using common sense, inform yourself, do it proper. You know, one, it's not gonna live for long. It's just a matter of time. The other, there's no issues. I mean, everything is kind of, well, you can't prevent anything from happening, but preventing the majority of the things you can imagine, you know, and there you go. That's what it is. That's why sometimes when you go, you know, some people say, oh, they can tune the car, they can build the track cars. I'm sorry, but without the experience, without mistaking, without seeing the horrors and bad stuff, you know, on the tracks, you just can't. It's simple. I couldn't do it if I didn't have the experience, and the experience is built in time, period. So that's why sometimes you've seen failed engines, failed fuel system, failed something, because majority of these issues, majority of those times is because there was a human error, and that's the end of it. I know people don't like to hear this. You know, everyone is very defensive. If something goes wrong with the engine, people blame a mapper, people blame the engine builder, people blame someone else, people blame the driver or bad fuel and other stuff. But usually it's, at some degree, their fault, and usually the builder. So from my position, I have to make sure everything here is as it should be. And then the mapper will use that. Now, of course, a bad mapper will do a shitty job, and no matter how good you build everything, you're still able to destroy your engine. No doubt it. But it's very true vice versa. If the mapper is good and everything seems okay at the moment, he will push the engine, he will do the great job, you know, and after a week, after 2 weeks, something comes up because you haven't done it properly, and there you go. For example, this is another thing. We got everything built up, right? Well, a good job we did. We have a nice access to those oil line pipes. I don't know if you can you see it? Barely, you know, they're there. I have to remove them. It's like, why you have to remove them? You put them on, you know, you bragging so much that they're on with the engine, blah, blah. Yes, but I have to now as the engine is in the car, I know the position of the oil cooler. So only now I can fit it, I can put the fittings, and only now I can know which way exactly this oil line is gonna be routed. And only then I can cut them to the exact size we need. How you cut this? Well, you can't cut this just with the scissors because it doesn't work properly. Now, even at factory of these, what they do, they put a bit of a tape, a paper tape on those lines, and cut them with the angle grinder. This is also done, again, like I say, from the factory, not because I do it this way. But what happens, bit of particles from the rubber goes inside the tube. You can't clean it because they go inside. You can clean it in the surface, but not all of it. So once I've done it, I have to take them out, clean them 2-3 times, blow with the air, clean them with the fuel or the brake cleaner, clean them again, do it a few times to make sure everything is clean, and only then reassemble them. This is wasting time. And sometimes you have to be quick. You want to be quick because you don't want a customer thinking you're taking the piece for doing it so long. But this is safety. You can do it quicker, but then a disaster may happen because all that small shit, they're very small. Sometimes they go through the filters, go through the pump, and then it goes through the oil galleries somewhere that eventually is going to do damage. Is it guaranteed? No, it's not. But again, this is where the difference between a good job and not a good job comes from, period. All these small details, and it comes from experience. Cut the pipe, put them on, off you go. Good luck with this. I've seen it so many times, and usually just horror stories out of it. Anyways, that's enough. End of Saturday. I still need to have a look on my Audi because my front airbag is not collapsing, but I think because I got the Quattro all-road, all Audi. I love that car. But front end just drops. It keep chasing up and down, even if I'm driving. And I already seen the front grille sensor on the arm just snapped, probably the bracket. And I'm not looking forward, but I have to lift it up and reattach it somehow, even with a zip tie temporarily for now because it's weekend. I'm not gonna put it on the ramp because it's busy, and I have to do it before I go home. Fuck's sake! It's always something. Anyways, fuel system on the way, cooling system on the way. This we still have to do the front, coilovers, brakes, wishbone. Loads of stuff, and then we reassemble the whole car, and then we have to put the engine cover, which luckily I already built. Now, hopefully, it's still gonna match because obviously we adding a lot of stuff, electrics and that fuel system. So hopefully we'll still apply to this. And then what I use for the seats, keep working with the shifter, changing obviously all of these, finishing here, charge cooler pipes. You still have to make the exhaust system, the exhaust manifold. Once we got the turbo in position, I can do the boost pipes, and then I still have to make the exhaust system. An exhaust system in this case is 4-inch. This is going to be huge, massive, and because it's a track car, it has to be silenced. And also the wastegate is 2 of them, because it's proper 2-inch scroll. They have to be plugged in back into the silencer or give them their own silencer. That is not going to be quick. It's not going to be easy. And yeah, and I have to finish everything by the end of this month. And I got about 2 weeks. That's crazy. That's crazy. Hence, I'm here today. It's Saturday. I'm probably going to be here even tomorrow.